Ladies and gentlemen, the salary cap. The salary cap is used in leagues for most team-based sports around the world, but it is not used for most football leagues. It is used in some football leagues, for example the A-League and some others, but apart from that, the salary cap does not exist in the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga, or anything like that. And today's video, ladies and gentlemen, will be answering the question of what would happen if there was a salary cap in the Premier League. I've gone in and researched how much teams pay in the Premier League to their players within a week. I've collated all that information on all the 20 teams and how much they pay their players per week, and I've come up with an average. It ends up becoming around £1.49 million a week paid to their players. So let's just round up and say 1.5 mil. I'm going to make 1.5 million the salary cap for the Premier League, and any team that is paying their players more than 1.5 million in a week is going to have to somehow get under the salary cap. And the way that I'm going to do that, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to go into every single team that is above the $1.5 million salary cap and start delisting players. That is what the salary cap does in other sports. It stops teams with all the money from just dominating the league and it actually keeps it competitive. So basically the exact opposite of what is happening in the majority of football's biggest leagues like the Premier League, where you won't have the exact same teams with all the crazy amount of cash winning it every single year. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now about to start clearing cap space for all the teams that are above the $1.5 million salary cap. There are 8 teams that I have to do this for. Some I won't have to get rid of too many players, but others I'm probably going to have to go pretty big for. Those 8 teams, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure you won't be shocked by this: Arsenal, Chelsea, Everton, Liverpool, both Manchester clubs, City and United, Tottenham, and West Ham. Those are the clubs that are above the 1.5 mil cap. So I'm now going to go through, clear out some players, and we're starting with Arsenal. So here is the starting 11 for Arsenal after I delisted players to get them under the salary cap. Now, I've had to get rid of about 7, 8, 9 players on the Arsenal team. That starting 11 is still somewhat decent. Arsenal were a little over $1 million over the 1.5 mil cap, and these were the players that I had to get rid of in order for them to get under that cap. Lucas Perez was one. I had to get rid of Santi Cazorla. I had to get rid of Mertesacker. Ospina was another one as well. Kieran Gibbs was one. Debussy was one. Welbeck another one. And the big one that I really had to get rid of to free up the most space possible was Mesut Ozil. All those players are gone. They just got moved to the free agents. They are not part of Arsenal and they won't be in the simulation when we do, by the way, an entire Premier League season under the cap. Next up, we have Chelsea. Now, they are just pretty much like Arsenal, a little over $1 million over the cap. So, I'm going to have to get rid of quite a fair few players yet again. Now then, here's what Chelsea's team looks like after getting rid of a bunch of players to get them under the cap. Like I say, the starting 11, it's unchanged primarily. There are some players that are missing, but really it's like the depth of the team that has definitely affected them the most. Some of the players that I had to get rid of, and some very good players at that too. Fabregas was one. Willian another. Had to get rid of Begovic, had to get rid of Solanke. I got rid of Terry as well. Nathan Ake, he was another one too. Eduardo, the old goalkeeper, Kennedy, and on top of that, Costa. They were the changes that I had to make. They were the players I got rid of. That's what it took to get them under the $1.5 million cap. Crazy. It just got rid of so many players, but thankfully, there's a whole bunch of loaned away players in career mode that we can just recall. Now we have Everton, another team over the cap, but seriously, they're only over it by like 100 grand. We only have to get rid of 2 players, and I know exactly who they're going to be. First player we have to get rid of is going to be Gareth Barry. That frees up about 50k worth of space, and the second one that we'll be getting rid of is Aaron Lennon. It's basically almost nothing. Everton's team remains pretty much exactly the same. Next up, we have Liverpool. Now, we are going to have to get rid of quite a fair few players for Liverpool, but not as much as Arsenal, not as much as Chelsea, and they're definitely going to have to suffer a little more than their neighbours in Everton. I can probably as well go through who I'm getting rid of out of Liverpool. We've got Sturridge, he's going to have to go. There's 4 more too as well. Lucas Leiva, he's unfortunately going to have to go. Mignolet is going to be another one that's going to go out. Ragnar Klavan, another one. And the final one will be Danny Ings. Again, losing some decent players, but by no means any superstars. They don't have to cut too much cap space. Coming up next though is Manchester City. Yeah, these guys are going to have a hard time. I'm seriously going to have to take out a bunch of players to get them under 1.5. So yeah, just give me a second. So here's how the Manchester City team looks after I got rid of quite a fair few players. 1 or 2 superstars and then some other nice squad rotation players or bench players. I still got rid of a bunch of talent though. Like honestly, Aguero, he's gone. Fernandinho is out. Delph is out. Nolito had to go. Kolarov had to go. We got Jesus Navas is another one. He's going to go. Caballero as well, the goalkeeper. He's out, Willie. Zabaleta, and on top of that, even Gundogan. Like, seriously, they have so many ridiculously good midfielders because despite getting rid of all those players, look at their midfield. They still have David Silva, they still have Yaya Toure, and they still have Kevin De Bruyne. I'm honestly almost impressed that they can have a $1.5 million salary cap in place and still have a starting 11 that damn good. So Manchester City is done. They are under the salary cap. They were paying their players £2.8 million a week. They were nearly doubling the salary cap, but now we have to go to the other Manchester club in United. This again, it's definitely going to hurt them, but it's not going to hurt them that much either. I definitely do have to get rid of some pretty good players, but nothing too crazy. Actually, you know, I might take that back because their depth, even though their starting 11 is relatively untouched, they've taken a fair bit of a hit when it comes to their depth, but still. Manchester United, this is their team after getting under the 1.5 mil cap. Players I had to remove. Ibrahimovic, he was one already. He's basically already gone out the Manchester United side. Freed up a decent amount of space. That's not too bad. I had to remove Juan Mata. He was another one that had to go. Rojo had to go. Fellaini, I think Manchester United fans might even be happy about that, you know, but still moving on. Darmian was another one. We had Romero, the goalkeeper. We had Ashley Young, who is not on as much cash as what he's actually on in real life, in-game, but still freed up some space there. And then Carrick as well. And that is the team that they are left with then. It's not too bad, but they should still be able to contend for the title. Next up, though, is Tottenham. And trust me, these guys are only 200, 300k over the 1.5 mil salary cap. So they're going to have still an amazing team when I'm finished with them. As a matter of fact, again, I'm just going to get rid of all the players straight away from Tottenham's team, okay? So Vorm is one player that I'm going to get rid of to get them under the cap, or at least to help them get there. Musa Sissoko is another one. We got Rimmer here, a centre-back. Again, they've already got quality centre-backs, so I won't miss him. And the other one is Janssen. Again, another striker. You've already got Harry Kane. Won't be missing him either. That is that. That is all it takes to get Tottenham under the salary cap. You have to look at their team. It's barely been affected at all. Look at that. Look at that starting 11. That is basically unchanged. I don't think there's any changes to it at all, to the starting 11. The depth, we didn't get rid of too many players, only like 3 or 4. It's nothing. Spurs, in my opinion, if we've, by the end of this simulation, might be the team that wins this title. In fact, there's only one team that we have to get under that £1.5 million a week salary cap, and that's West Ham. And honestly, we're going to have to get rid of more players with West Ham than with Tottenham. And these are the players I'm going to get rid of with West Ham. The first one will probably be for Gooley. He'll probably have to go. And then 4 more players after him. We have Nordveit, who's going to have to go. Obiang's another one back into the free agents as well. We're going to get rid of Masuaku, the left back. And the final one as well is going to be Sarko. Again, nothing too crazy, but it gets them under the 1.5 mil cap. And it's some okay backup players that they have lost. So finally, after all of that, ladies and gentlemen, we now have every single team in the Premier League underneath the salary cap. Now, the reason I wanted to do this video, this little experiment, is because I wanted to see if implementing a salary cap was going to make at least the Premier League a little bit more competitive. Or is it going to be the exact same bloody, you know, who won the Premier League this year? Wow, that's bad. Are we still going to see Chelsea finishing first, Tottenham finishing second, and all the big clubs finishing up toward the top of the table? Or are we going to see a little bit of competition and a little bit more competitiveness in the league now that the salary cap has been put in? It's going to give all the other clubs much more of a shot of actually doing damage and maybe even finishing up high toward the table. I'm really going to be keeping my eye on the big clubs as per usual to see how much they drop off because of all these changes. But then again, I don't know if it's going to have any changes whatsoever. I'm just doing this for the first time and we're finding out together. I'm going to sim to the 1st of November after around about 10 games of the Premier League to see, even though it is early days, how it's shaping up. So then, we've advanced about a quarter of the way through the Premier League season. Has the salary cap had any sort of impact on the league? Well, take a look for yourselves. It's kind of not really. It's pretty similar. But at the same time, there are definitely some odd changes for sure. I think the big talking point here is the fact that Watford are doing so well after 10 games. And again, the team that I had a sneaky suspicion would go on to win after the salary cap was implemented was, of course, Spurs. 9 wins, 1 draw. They're on 28 points after a possible 30 could have been taken. That is incredible. However, though, the salary cap has not been kind to Manchester United, who currently are on 3 wins, 2 draws, and 5 losses, currently sitting in 13th place. There's still plenty of time left to go, but wow. they are struggling. I'm now going to take it to the 1st of January, so the halfway point of the Premier League, and we'll see if there has again been any movements, if Manchester United start coming up the top, or if any of the big clubs start to drop off again. So here we are at the halfway point yet again of the Premier League season, and take a look at this. Spurs are loving life under the salary cap. 17 wins, 2 draws. After 19 games, they are still undefeated. 53 points after 19 games is staggering. Anyway, moving on. Chelsea, 13 wins, 4 draws, and 2 losses as well. They're obviously going okay. Watford is still up there as well, which isn't too bad. Everton, Stoke City, and Leicester City, some teams that maybe you wouldn't expect to be up where they are doing quite well as well. Think about it this way, okay? There are 6 clubs in the Premier League right now that seem to be doing a lot better than everyone else. 6 big clubs. You've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, and then Manchester City and Manchester United. You'd always expect them every Premier League season to finish somewhere in between 1st and 6th. Well, right now, there are only 2 of those top 6 clubs in the Premier League that are actually in the top 6. Spurs in 1st, Chelsea in 2nd, and then Arsenal, Manchester City, Liverpool, and Manchester United are all outside of the top 6. That salary cap is seriously starting to hurt them in the long run. This is crazy, you know. Are Spurs going to go on and just go an undefeated season? Are they just going to kill it under the salary cap? Are we going to see Manchester United go even lower? They're 14th. They were 13th before. I'm going to advance again a little further to the 1st of April after another 10 games played. And I have no idea what the table is going to end up looking like, but you cannot tell me that the salary cap has had some sort of impact on this career mode. Here we go then. Only about 10 or so more games left remaining in the Premier League season. About 28, 29 games played for every single club. And take a look at the table. Spurs are still going strong, although they have lost their first game. They may not be doing an invincible season anytime soon, but they're still so far ahead of everybody else. They cannot get enough of this salary capped Premier League. Chelsea in position 2 as well. 53 points, way behind them. There's no way. I'm pretty sure, let me think mathematically, they may not have it wrapped up just yet, Spurs, but goddamn, there's no way they're not winning the Prem. But anyway, Chelsea in 2nd, Everton are in 3rd. I thought Everton were going to do pretty well, but there you go. They're finishing up potentially in a Champions League spot. Stoke City doing nice. Watford have slowly dropped off after their pretty decent start, but still, they're 5th. I think they'll take that. You've got Arsenal, Manchester City, 6th and 7th. You've got Liverpool in 10th, and Manchester United are on the verge of relegation. Well, I guess all there is left to do now, guys, is to go all the way to the end of this Premier League season to see what's going to happen. Spurs going to win the title, obviously. How far up are some of the other big clubs going to end up finishing? Is Liverpool going to get their shit together, maybe finish up toward a decent spot? Is Manchester United going to get relegated under the salary-capped Premier League? Let's find out. And so we have made it, ladies and gentlemen. We've reached the end of the Premier League season, and obviously, we know who's going to win. Spurs miles ahead of the rest of the competition. They've done sensationally under the salary cap. But it is now time to take a look at the rest of the table to see where everybody else finished. Let's go from 1 down to 20 in order. Everton, one of the teams I thought would do quite well under the salary cap, have finished in 2nd place. Crazy. Chelsea in 3rd. Arsenal in 4th. Obviously. Had to do it for the memes. Anyway, Stoke City, they finished in 5th. Quite surprising, obviously. Watford doing quite well is definitely surprising as well. We've got Liverpool and Manchester City, 7th and 8th. Definitely. If it wasn't for the salary cap, you'd expect them to be finishing way ahead. Leicester City, Crystal Palace, West Bromwich Albion in 11th. You got Middlesbrough in 12th. Southampton in 13th. West Ham, Sunderland 15th. 16th and 17th, Burnley and Bournemouth. Did you hear me say Manchester United? No. That's because they're finishing in 18th. Manchester United relegated from the Premier League under the salary cap. Unfucking believable. I had no idea that that would be something that could happen. It was ridiculous. They are down and into the championship. Manchester United in the fucking championship. And obviously the salary cap's not going to be able to save everybody. You've still got teams like Hull City finishing 20th with only 5 wins for the entire season, so they're like the club with the 2nd lowest most spent on player wages at all. I think you've got Middlesbrough who are bottom, but they finished in 12th, so I don't even know, man. But still, Hull City, Swansea City, and Manchester United that have been relegated. So that is an entire Premier League season under a salary cap. Now, pretty intriguing, pretty eye-opening, but I kind of want to give it a few more seasons. I want to advance maybe 2, maybe 3 more seasons into the future to see if anything else crazy like that happens. If we see another top club fall all the way into a relegation spot. If Manchester United even come back up, I'm sure they will, but yeah, I kind of want to see what happens with them. I want to see if one of the other clubs, one of the fringe clubs like an Everton or a Southampton or something like that, one of the other clubs that was doing okay. Stoke City, Watford, like in this simulation, if they can maybe take it to another level, and who knows, we might see a club outside of the top 6 maybe winning the Premier League. Okay, so here is the second season under the salary cap. Now, I didn't know if things were going to get even crazier, or if they were going to pretty much go right back to the way things were, but as it turns out, things have pretty much gone back to the way things were. Take a look at the table. You have Liverpool, Spurs, Chelsea, Manchester City, and Arsenal up in the top 6. Leicester City have overtaken Arsenal, but apart from that, that's pretty much normal, apart from obviously the absence of Manchester United, which we'll get to them in a second. But yeah, all the top clubs have gone back to going up top. Obviously, Tottenham are not going to be able to win the Premier League again this time. They've unfortunately missed out by 3 points to Liverpool. And some more talking points as well. The fact that some other teams that were doing really, really well, like for example Watford last season, have now completely tanked and gone into 18th. And of course, because it is such a talking point, Manchester United will be back into, of course, the Premier League next season. Although they didn't even win the championship. Bloody Swansea City ended up winning the championship. They had to finish second, but they will be back. That's mental. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Manchester United in a third season, because I want to do it one more time. I want one more season to see if, again, anything mental happens like a Manchester United being relegated. I just want to see one more season. Okay, this is going to be the last season that we do taking a look at the Premier League under a salary cap. Now, here is the table. We see that Chelsea have won on 28 wins, 2 draws, and 6 losses with 88 points. Pretty much outright. Arsenal have done better. Liverpool have done better. Spurs have dropped off again. Everton and Stoke City. Stoke City as well have always really been up there too with Everton. Crystal Palace, West Ham, Sunderland, and then Manchester City in 10th. Manchester United, however, did actually sort of get their shit together after getting in the Premier League. Although at the same time, I'm saying they got their shit together. 13th in these last 3 seasons is the highest that they have finished in the Premier League. Things definitely got better for the top clubs after a couple of seasons under the salary cap. Obviously, keep in mind, they've probably gone out and bought other players as well. But still, at the same time, that first season was mental. You've got clubs like Middlesbrough, Swansea City, and West Brom just surviving the drop, unfortunately. I would have loved either of those clubs to have gone down instead of Newcastle, but no. Newcastle go down, West Bromwich Albion nearly, but they were level on points. It's just goal difference that saves them. To be fair, you know, West Bromwich Albion actually surprisingly have one of the lowest amounts spent on player wages in the entire Premier League, so yeah, they're surviving on a budget. Just like most people from West Brom, actually, surviving on a budget. Let me know what you think, guys. Would you ever support a salary cap being implemented into the Premier League? It's an interesting debate because there's obviously pros and cons to having a salary cap. Obviously, one of the pros being that some of the smaller clubs, the little boys that don't really have as much cash or as much resources as some of the big clubs, they'll actually be able to compete and who knows, maybe even win a league one day. Thank you all so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We have more Wimbledon, more career mode videos, more FIFA, more football, more everything. So just stay tuned. It's going to be lit. Until next time, guys, my name is the MasterBucks, and have a good one.